Hi everyone and welcome to my club juggling tutorial. In this video I'm going to teach you how to juggle 3 clubs. I'm not going to keep you for too long, I'm just going to very quickly and simply go through the foundation, the basics that I think you're going to need to know in order to juggle 3 clubs. To hold a club, just grab it sort of like this, just with a fist, and then rotate it a little bit diagonally. So you're sort of not straight here, you're diagonally. Just like you're not straight here, you're holding it diagonally there. To grip it, I'm using my little finger, my ring finger, my middle finger at the bottom. To grab with the pad of my thumb, like that. Then I'm using my thumb up the club, my index finger. I have options, I can go here, I can go up like that as well. I also hold the club nearer the base of the handle as opposed to up here. So I'm going to show you everything holding it towards the bottom of the handle. First thing you're going to have to do, simply take this one club and practice a full rotation from your right hand to your left and back. You're going to have to do this quite a lot of times. To start with, you're probably going to do a few throws like this that come back, or way too high, not rotated enough. Basically, it just takes time. Practice doing one throw from one hand and the other, and then repeat. Try and just get into the rhythm of this and do it as many times as you can be bothered, basically. You might also notice that sometimes you don't catch it in the same position that you threw it from, or that you'd ideally want to catch it in. So this is also practice throwing and catching from slightly different areas on the handle. Like if you catch it up here, as a beginner, it might be hard to save this throw, but you're going to want to practice with this in mind. The gist of it is wherever you catch the club, you should be able to correct it in the next throw. So let's not spend too long with just the one club, move on to 2, and this is where we're going to be doing the bulk of our practice. To start with, simply just take one club in each hand. So we're going to do that same single rotation. This time, as that first club has reached the peak and is beginning to descend, we're going to throw the second club underneath it. Just like we do with 3 balls, I'm sure you're familiar with how the pattern works. The only thing with clubs is obviously you really need to make sure that they have enough space between them, because they're much easier to collide like that. So at first, maybe you could make it extra big and extra safe, like 1, 2, before you reduce the size and do it like. So starting out, 1, 2, nice and high, nice and controlled, lots of time. 1, 2. Do not worry if your second throw, your first throw is going wrong and you're going like 1, whoa, something like this. It always happens. It's really hard to get to grips with clubs at the beginning, so just bear with it for a little bit. The clubs are rotating on this angle, so if the first club has reached the peak, it's rotating around like this, it is pretty hard for me to hit it with the second club as long as everything is going to plan. If I throw it up, sure, but if I'm throwing it diagonally, there really is no way that they can collide. Let's move on to the next exercise with 2 clubs. This time we're going to get used to releasing and catching with 2 clubs in one hand. This is probably the hardest part of this trick, so stick with this exercise. If you can do this one and the previous one, getting 3 clubs in a cascade should not really be a problem for you. Just hold one club just in a fist like this. Take the second club and simply put it slightly diagonal, so like this. So now the 2 clubs will be in your hand a little bit like this. There are different grips in circus and there are different preferences for different jugglers. There's not really a right and wrong. For example, I like to have my first club on top of the other one. Some people prefer to have the first club behind the other one. Both grips are valid. You can do whatever you choose to do, whatever you feel more comfortable doing. I was shocked when I learned about this because I thought, how can you release it? It's going to surely get caught on it. But you know, it actually doesn't. You can release it in the exact same way. It is just personal preference, but don't get confused with this step and be like, oh, which grip is for me? If you're wondering, I would personally just go for this one that I showed you first. So when I say first club, I mean the first club to throw. I like to have mine slightly higher than the second club. So as you can see with this middle line, it's not here, slightly higher. I just find it easier. It's not a necessity, but it might help you at the beginning to release it on its own. The way to release that first club is really all about the index finger and the middle finger. As you can see with my hands, I've got quite a lot of control with it, but I'm gripping the second club tight between the bottom of my thumb and the main part of my hand. So I'm able to move around that first club, but I'm keeping the second one nice and secure. Now this is really the main part that you're going to have to get used to. Just try and throw that first club to the other hand like this. You may find that since you've got two clubs in one hand, you can't do quite as much with the wrist because obviously the other club is in your wrist. Maybe you have to do some more with your arm. You know, I find this more of a half arm, half wrist type movement rather than all in the wrist, arm and wrist. Does that make sense? Obviously I did the first one faster, but all in the wrist, arm and wrist. So all in the wrist, arm and wrist. I find when I think using the arm, it allows me to throw higher and more controlled without so much of an emphasis on rotation. Let's just practice releasing that first club like this. Once you've got used to releasing just that first club, you're going to follow it up with the second club like this. What this is obviously going to involve is catching the second club with another club in your hand. This is going to be really hard at the beginning. It's probably going to look a little something like, oh no, don't stress about it. You can first just practice small throws to get used to where the club fits in. Obviously, it's just the opposite of how you threw it. So you're still using the bottom of your thumb and the main part of your hand, the bottom of your index finger to keep that club trapped. And then you're going to be using the rest of your fingers to grab the incoming club. So you've got it like this, and the incoming club is going to go like that. So we're going to build up until you can do throw, throw, catch, catch. Then obviously from the left hand back to the right hand, throw, throw, catch, catch, throw, throw, catch, catch, throw, throw, catch, catch. This is a really good exercise. You're practicing releasing with two in one hand and catching with two in one hand on both sides. It will take a while, but once you've done this, there isn't a great deal more to do to add that third club. Simply, when you're ready, just try, repeat that first exercise with two clubs. So like this. As you can see, you're catching it, you've already practiced the catch. So now let's just add in that third throw, just like you did with 3 balls when you're adding in that third throw. To start with, don't even worry about catching it, just think throw, throw, throw. Just make sure you can get it out of your hand and up in the air. So we can break down the throw and the catch into 2 moves. You can try 3 throws, no catch, 3 throws and a catch. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. When you're ready, just try and add in 1 throw at a time, 4 throws, 5 throws, etc. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and it has helped you learn juggling clubs. A last little note is watch out for your thumbs and your nails, because when you start club juggling, it can begin to get a little bit painful. Also, watch out for your toes. I would actually wear shoes when you're learning clubs because Even though they don't feel heavy, they can be quite painful. So, just a warning. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like. Let me know what you think and give me requests for future tutorials and videos in the comments. Subscribe for more videos like this. Happy juggling. Have a lovely day.